You're listening to Be the Exception podcast, episode 177. Today, we are talking with Cynthia Long, a nationally certified interpreter and also the founder of ASL Teaching Resources. She's an author and speaker and has online courses and educational ASL worksheets for children. And today, she is coming on the show to talk to us about how to integrate more sign language into our self-contained special education classrooms and continue to build those language skills all year long. So let's go ahead and jump on into today's episode.
Welcome to Be the Exception podcast. As teachers, each one of us has something that comes naturally to us that others would love to know more about. Throughout this podcast, we'll chat with amazing professionals and offer easily digestible tips that you can quickly implement in your classroom or business, helping you stand out with things you do really well. Your host, Dawn Ellis, is a qualified educational specialist with 10 years of special education experience, published journal articles, and was a state finalist for Elementary Teacher of the Year. Dawn provides tools for special education teachers to perform at their very best, helping deal with the frustrating daily obstacles of being an educator. She offers a roadmap of resources and strategies to make you a confident leader in your school and community. So if you're ready to start the conversation, learn from others, and grow together, you're in the right place. Now here's your host, Dawn Ellis.
Well, hey there. Welcome to another episode of Be the Exception podcast. My name is Dawn Ellis. I am a special educator of 14 years and board certified and have my ed specialist in special education. And I am thrilled you are here for today's episode. Before we jump into the conversation with our special guest, I wanted to let you know that over in the Etsy shop, there are some brand new fall and even Halloween inspired teacher tees designed especially for special educators. Make sure and check those out this month. Go ahead and get them ordered so you can wear them all fall long. Also, there are some great fall themed items in my TPT shop for you to print and go. They range from escape rooms for you to do both digital and in person, community-based trips that you can take and pre-teach those skills. We've got back to school dough mats, different task cards, and so much more. So check that out in the TPT shop. It's all linked in today's show notes. But also, if you're not a member of the Exceptional Collective yet, make sure and check that out as well. It comes with monthly downloads for you to use in your classroom. Some of the items that we've even mentioned today, the things that you would need to teach in your self-contained classroom, all in one spot that you can download and use quickly, as well as monthly themed trainings that can help you hone in your skills as a special educator to be more efficient and effective in your classroom, as well as special educator downloads as well to help you with your paperwork and so much more. You can get all of this for $27 a month. Make sure and check out the Exceptional Collective and consider joining this community full of resources and accountability to help you have the best year yet. All right, let's go ahead and jump on in to today's episode. Hey everyone, today we have Cynthia. She's a nationally certified interpreter and she's here to share some tips as an interpreter for us as special educators and how we can make sure that we're always providing access and resources for all of our learners for all of their different needs. She's from ASL Teaching Resources.com. So help me welcome Cynthia. Hey there, how are you?
Hello, everyone. This is a beautiful day in Cincinnati.
Nice. So glad you are here. For any of our listeners who may not know you, will you just give us a little background of who you are, your journey as an interpreter, and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, yes. So I am from a family with 5 children. My parents were Salvation Army pastors all their career, and my mom was a master of creating and having fun with things, and my dad having that artistic ability. So due to their dedication to their marriage and their work and serving others, I then had an amazing example to do what I'm doing today. So I am a nationally certified interpreter for the deaf. I am founder of ASL Teaching Resources.com. And just in a nutshell, when I was in the classroom all these years, I kept seeing firsthand what they needed things for these kids, and they just weren't out there. Other than like the basics, colors and ABCs. And so because of my parents' creativity and their dedication, that is now who I am. And I am just having a blast making things that I know that the teachers need. So I'm totally dedicated to this, to having teaching resources. I'm an author, a speaker, a creator of online courses as well for educators. Not just worksheets, but kind of everything. And just a little side note, I am a mom of 3 children and 6 grandchildren, and I've had tons of furry and different kinds of animals, all the way from snakes to rats. But currently I have now settled, since it's just me and my husband. We've been married 38 years, and we now have my dog that I always get is a German Shepherd. So that's me.
Awesome. So as you have taken on this role as an interpreter, I know you've probably had lots of different avenues of working with the deaf community, but what is a lesson that you could maybe share with us that you wish you had learned sooner, or that you could impart with other listeners to help them maybe not make the same mistake?
Okay. Well, a fun fact, being an interpreter in the schools, I have graduated multiple times. Can you imagine that? I didn't have to keep repeating grades. I actually got to go through high school many times, and in secondary school, post-secondary. It was great. So ironically, I would have to say the lesson that I learned being an interpreter for the deaf is we have how many ears? 2. And how many mouths?
That's
1. And so even though everything I do is, with sign language, my thing that I wish I had learned more is to listen more. I had 2 amazing teachers that I remember still to this day, because we still can have contact at Christmas time. And they took the time to listen to me. And when I was struggling, they got me help. They did whatever I needed to make sure that I was succeeding, and left a major impact on who I am. So I would say the lesson that I learned is listen more. Maybe even like pick one child when you do the attendance and kind of rotate to be intentionally present to them, listen and asking more questions, and then see what kind of impact you'll be able to make on their life when they are adults.
That's so good. I love that. It's so true. And I think that it's such a good reminder, even as we, start off a brand new school year, to listen to the parents, and as you get to know the students, and just having that moment of pause, so that you're being intentional with your time. So yes, I love that. Awesome. Okay. So I would love to just pick your brain for the next few minutes and chat about, especially here at the beginning of the year, what are some action steps that you can share with teachers about preparing them to use sign language, or to help have a foundation of incorporating this into our lessons, especially for our nonverbal kids, so that they have a way to communicate?
Okay, so if you have the freedom to do this and you're listening, you're going to want to grab a pencil and paper because I'm going to be throwing some power bombs out to you right now. So I'm going to give you the 3 overviews, and then we're going to back out and explain each one. So first, start small, go slow, and build from there. Okay, let's unpack this. Start small. So I'm going to ask you, Dawn, how much sign language did you and do you know now?
I would say I'm definitely not proficient, but I know a lot of the basic signs. So probably like maybe 4 out of 10. As far as proficient, I don't feel like I can hold a conversation. I can understand more signs than I can do, if that makes sense. I had a learner a couple years ago that was deaf, and that definitely helped me. I did some of the like free sign language courses that year to help me. But we also had an interpreter in the room. And so by having that every day to practice, because I wanted to be intentional and build that rapport with her, it took me from like just knowing basic communication signs and letters to being able to have a few phrases in my toolbox as well.
See, and you are an amazing teacher that you took time to do that, because I've seen a lot of times where if a teacher does have a child that relies on sign language, doesn't matter if they're deaf or hard of hearing, it could be they have special needs, that they like, oh, we'll let the interpreter do it. But kudos to you for taking time to learn this. And so with this in mind, we have many teachers that recognize the need or the benefits of using sign language in their classroom. So when I say start small, what I'm saying is do not think that you need to know the language to begin using it. I want you to feel the freedom to learn with your students. Now, I want to say right here, this might help you feel more relaxed. ASL is American Sign Language. You're not learning ASL. What you're learning is basic signs. ASL is a language within itself, full of syntax, grammar, facial features, everything. If you could only see me, I could show you the difference between you learning just vocabulary and signs as opposed to using it as a complete language. Has a whole pendulum there of even that language within itself. So again, you don't need to learn the language. You're just using vocabulary and simple signs in your classroom. So start small. Okay, here we are in the second one, go slow. I'm going to ask you another question here, and this is for your listeners as well. So what do you find that most elementary teachers start the day with on every day?
Sure. A lot of times after we come in and have breakfast and unpack, most of the mornings we have either like free centers until the bell rings, but then we go into morning meeting, and that's just a time for us all to get on the same page, to go over some basic activities, go over any changes that may be coming up in the day, to where they don't feel unprepared, and those kinds of things.
Okay, so I would say to you, and this is where you're going to get your pencil and paper out because you're going to want to write some of these things down. When you are doing like your routines with the children, pick something to start with that you think maybe they might have the most fun with. It might be your calendar, it might be the weather, it might be their jobs if they have jobs. If you sing the ABC song or anything along that line. Now, here are my pro tip suggestions. I say start with the need. So here's another question for you. And for those listening, perhaps think what you would say. What do you find that all the kids need when they're with you throughout the day? What are the basic needs that they have?
Some basic needs that my kids have throughout the day are the need for feeding and toileting transitions, the use of visuals to know the expectations, and assistance with whatever the work is or assignments within the school day.
Okay, perfect. So we're following right along. So my pro tip is that I personally like to start here. Yes, I might have the classroom, set up for sign, but I'm going to suggest you start with the basic needs. So everybody listening, your classroom might be different on different levels, especially if you're working with in a special ed room or you're working a higher functioning, it all depends. So what we're going to look at is This will help you with classroom management. So let's take the one that you mentioned, the need to go to the restroom. So what could happen? Maybe your room is a little noisy that day, or maybe it's quiet and you're trying to teach a lesson. So simply with the child raising their hand, and they give the letter T while they raise their hand. So I know you can't see me, so try to visualize, and you might have to go look this up. What does a T look like in ASL and sign language? So it's where your thumb goes in between your middle finger and your first finger, okay? And then you're going to shake it left to right, just ever so slightly. Don't go forward and back, because that means testimony, okay? You're going to go left to right. So if the child even just raises their hand with the letter T and that's what they give you, then you know they need to go to the toilet. So it could be in a loud room and they might be across the room and they raise their hand. Then simply all you have to do is you could either learn yes and no sign language, or wait, or later, or you could just nod your head. So you pick out what is best for you. So that helps with classroom management. And you can do those for, like, if they need to get water or if it's time to eat, you could establish those. And I think it's really helpful with visual schedules. In our visual schedules, you'll find that there's the icon, the English word, and the sign for it as well. And they can move them around. I've done this, now this is next. So I think those are extremely beneficial to have that in the room. To what is their need?
Yeah.
If you meet the need, they're going to start to want to learn that language for you. So, one of the good things, I'm telling you to write notes, but I think we should make sure we give everybody some show notes from ASL Teaching Resources that includes this. Okay, so we'll have these. You'll even have some icons so you can see how to sign some of these things. So anyway, we'll make sure you get that. The other one is, here's another pro tip that's fun and the kids like it. So we have, I don't know if you call them classroom rules or classroom manners, but you can incorporate this super easy through the day because it's meeting their need. You mentioned they eat, right? Everybody eats. We have snack time, we have food time, we have breakfast time. There's a lot of eating going on during the day. So when you teach them the sign for eat, now this is the part where I was talking about, you learn basic signs and you're not learning ASL, because in the language itself, eat is one time, but food is a 2-time movement.
Okay.
Now, if you were eating a lot, then we have a repetitive movement. And you could use both hands for really pigging out. So that is what I mean by just start simple and just learn the sign for, eat or food. And it's okay if you don't get the 1-time, 2-time tap because it's a noun or a verb. That's no problem. So you have snack, right? So when the kids are eating and say you're passing them out a juice or something, then they get to learn thank you. So they're learning and practicing their manners without saying any word. And thank you is simply, it almost looks like you're blowing a kiss. Your hand to your mouth, it's a flat hand, and you just bring it out, but don't throw the kiss with it. So just practicing those manners, incorporating through the day, can help de-escalate the noise level as well. Okay, so that was go slow. Now we're having build from here. This is the fun part because you get to have fun with your room and decorate it as well. So sign language can enhance a child's cognitive development by building on existing tools that you're already doing to improve their learning and memory skills. And I'm just going to give you a list right here. I would say establish a place in your room where you call it your signing wall. So if you have even like a time to do signing time where you teach them one word, you have a wall, a word wall, and a sign goes there. Another one is have your routine set up with signs. So suppose you already have your classrooms, you've already bought everything for your walls or it's set up from last year, but you want to start using sign. Well, just cut the little sign language out and paste it right on there. And then that way you are learning and they're learning and visually seeing at the same time. One of my favorites to do is I hear, well, there aren't books that's teaching them the signs. Well, this is where you take an existing book in your center, and you can visit our website, download flashcards, cut them out, and tape them in the book.
There you go.
And it's like one word, pick one word. They're not learning the language, they're just learning the vocabulary. So another one would be in helping them learn about emotions. We have a whole series with just dealing with emotions. And you could use that, like we have a mood dog, and it's just a paper cut out, and they set it on their desk. And then they walk in, they could turn the face on the little doggy to express their emotion. And with that, they what they're doing is they're coming to the classroom and deliberately, if your classroom can do this, thinking about how they're feeling at that moment. Another one is, and I love this one, is like you've put flashcards in your book that you have to teach colors.
Mhm.
Then on your word wall, you have the colors with the signs on them. Now it's time to implement it. So you could say, we are coloring now, and we're going to have 1 minute of quiet time. You get to use your signing colors during this 1 minute. And so then you get to see the kids talking to each other. All they do is simply sign 2 words, the color and then please. And then bringing in that manners, the other child then says, thank you. How cool would that be, just to see your kids doing that and talking with each other? So supporting your vocabulary with sign is what I would say to do. These are just a few tips. And again, yes, we'll make sure you get some show notes with some of these things on it.
I love that you're sharing just with the basics. And I think that's so important, and especially for our nonverbal learners who don't have that mode of communication. And what I like to do with some of those basic sign language skills is, especially with food, is to model it, to help them do it like hand over hand, and have them practice, and then reinforce immediately when they do it, to for that positive reinforcement, so that they will do it again. And it is so true to start small and to like give it time, because they really do compound that eat and that thank you and then please, and then you can go, so because then if they are melting down or they're having a tough day, like they can still communicate to you their needs, and you're able to like come alongside them. So I'm loving these tips that you are sharing. So yeah, any other truth bombs you got for us?
Well, I have some more for the how the teachers can then empower themselves.
Ooh, I like that. All right. So yeah, let's kind of go into, what advice would you give teachers who are wanting to get started with this or implement it more this upcoming school year?
Okay, so here's another one. These I don't have in the show notes, but I'm sure you can jot these down. So the internet is your friend. However, so I am tapping the back of my left hand because it means warning, warning. Like everything else, you're going to need to validate the expert. I have been involved with many high-profile educators, but they don't know sign language. So I'm seeing, oh, you're showing the number 3. That's a number 6. Or you've got the letter G. Hold on, that's actually backwards, and I can't even do that with my hand. It hurts. So there's a lot of little things like that. And even with the app. So just you want to validate the expert. And another pro tip is, like, there are books out there, and with you being on a budget, probably, like we have quite a few books out even on Amazon. And so what we tell teachers, you can't buy the book, just tell your library to get it for you, because they have 100% of the time ordered it for us. And so you can have that book as a resource for your classroom. Another one is, well, actually, even your school librarian could make that happen. This one is not often thought about. and I think it's great. I've got two of them that it's going to be super exciting. All right. So one of them is contact your local interpreting agency and ask for their advocacy department, because they have people that could very well have like tentacles that could go out and help you and bring somebody to the school, maybe do a little presentation for you or give you some tools that you need. Another one that's one of my faves is collaborate with your high school or the high school club. We used to have the high school come in, and I can't remember if it was the middle school or high school, but they came in and they read to the children or did something with them. So if you have the high school, you can challenge them, learn this book with sign language, learn whatever you need to, and then come in. Or they might even have a club, a sign language club, where they can incorporate that. And speaking of clubs, you could start your own sign language club. We actually have like a huge program for a sign club where all the lesson plans are done for you. Another one is learn, if you want to learn the basics to sign language, we can provide that for you with professional development. We can walk you through the classroom and I sign every single thing to you and you can learn that. Another one is if you want to learn just a basic level of it, you have that. There's so many different resources, but trust me, you can trust me because of the experience in being a professional interpreter. And I think you're going to like what you find there to help you incorporate it into your classroom. But start, oh my goodness, start by labeling everything. That's the first, I would start, I mean, because it's easy peasy. You just get in there, start labeling. If you have a glue, crayon boxes, everything, just label the main box. That way you can start remembering signs yourself.
That's so good. And yeah, I think even having, I know I had like this little like this like pocket sheet of like quick signs that I could prompt my own self, not just my kids, to help, so that even as I'm teaching my paraprofessionals, like I'm modeling it for them, like, but they have a reference. It's okay to have a reference close by, because ultimately, like, we're kind of learning another language.
Yes.
But so it's okay to kind of have those visuals for yourself too. I love those tips.
Yeah, we call them like conversation cards on our site, so that you just like put it on a ring and just hang it on the bulletin board. And yeah, it's like, how am I supposed to say it's your turn? You know.
Yeah, that's so true. I will have to check those out. I'll link that in the show notes as well, just in case of anyone who's listening who may want those conversation cards to help have those prompts. So tell us a little bit about any advice you would give, or is there any other tips you would give like your younger self or any other teachers wanting to get started with the sign language besides the conversation cards and the other tips that you've shared?
I would say the biggest thing I would say, and we'll share this with you, is we have tons of resources to get you started, so that whether you know sign language or not, you will be successful. And currently right now we're having like an open Zoom that you can ask me any question. So if you go to our website, go to Teacher Resources link, and where it says webinars, click there. We are often throwing free trainings for teachers right there. Okay. So that's worth writing down. Again, it says Teacher Resources and drop down to webinars. And we're going to be on a SPED Summit. We're going to be having lives, just a lot of fun things going on with sign language. But I would encourage you to just thinking of remembering that children have mostly three learning styles, no matter what level they're at. And that's auditory, visually, and kinesthetic. And so when you're wanting to enhance their learning environment, just using that sign along with a spoken language for auditorially and having it in print, whether it's a wall chart or poster, that's going to be visually. And then kinesthetic will be them doing the sign. So they're moving with it. And a lot of times they can be iconic. So if you're signing like you did eat, it's bringing the food to your mouth. If you are signing, even the word it's time to get on the bus, it's like grabbing a big steering wheel. And so those are iconic and they can use those. So definitely incorporate those for the learning styles.
So good. Awesome. Okay, so for any teachers that may be listening and they're trying these signs and they're starting slow and they're giving themselves some grace and they've got these visuals, but this frustrating days happen, what is any advice you have to help keep going and to stay motivated to do it all year long?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's a good one. I'm going to say the word WADE, WADE.
Okay.
You probably wonder what that is. So Wade was a young, brilliant boy, but due to his deafness, he was isolated. Now we can insert any child's name that might not even be able to communicate whether they're deaf or not, right? So what happened is my son was in this boys group and he came home. He said, "Mom, nobody's talking to him." So I said, "Okay, well, let's learn sign language." So this is my story. I did not know sign language. I did not know anyone that was deaf. All I knew is that there was a need. So in your classroom, there are always children with needs. And in your classroom, learning sign is going to be breaking down barriers and making a difference in their future. So keeping that in mind is like the biggest thing that keeps me going, because my son met this young man. We started learning sign. What now happened in transition to is now, as an interpreter, I was making a huge impact on one student's life. But now I'm impacting children all over the world and empowering teachers. And so for you doing this, you are helping them break down barriers and making a difference in their future. I will say this, all three of my children that learn sign in their homeschool have had to use sign language in their careers. All three of them. And chances are it's going to be pretty high for them too. So yeah, don't give up. You just never know. You might not become like an interpreter, but or anything that I'm doing, but you are making a difference in the world, helping them lock in that learning, their learning styles, helping them just to feel successful, to be able to express their emotions when they're not able to do verbally. Just having another mode to communicate is going to be a big impact.
That's so good. I love that. All right. So as we kind of finish up today's episode, I feel like you've had so many truth bombs that I know I've been taking notes, so I hope others have been too. Tell us any of your favorite school supplies that you always need in your life.
Okay, so if I might be dating myself, but I love grape scented markers and and pencil toppers that I can have fun with, because I'm kinesthetic. So I used to have the troll one where I would pull his hair straight up and then I'd wiggle my pencil and it would go everywhere. So actually, some of the favorite ones that I appreciate now are ones that I make, and that is games, because again, going back to my mom who is creative. So I actually make sign language on dice game, fortune tellers, playing cards, dominoes, bingos, things like that. So those to me are the must-haves for being in the classroom, to where they're having fun in their centers or having fun learning their sight, any like sight words or any kind of reading their colors or anything.
That's so cool. Awesome. Well, again, will you let us know of any places that our listeners can connect with you? I know we're going to have it all in the show notes, but just so they can hear it one more time, so that if they are wanting to incorporate sign language, which I highly encourage you, there's so many benefits of doing this, where they can continue to learn and grow from you.
Most definitely. So we're going to make sure you get a freebie today. And with that, you're going to get a lot of summary from today, a visual summary. So you'll see signs in there as well. And we're going to throw in some pro tips for you. And most importantly, you want to also look at the last page, because we're going to give, if you want to take it a step further, we're going to make sure you have access to a step-by-step guide to start implementing using sign language with your children, whether you're in the classroom, a SPED room, or whether you're at home with special needs children. Whatever you're doing and where you're at, we're going to give you that. And then with that resource, you're going to get extra things coming to your email, like a course. We're going to let you in on one of our 30-minute trainings, and we're going to give you like a poster for your wall. We're going to help you get that excitement going to build, so that you have the knowledge of what to do and when to do it and how to do it.
Awesome. Well, we will make sure and link all of that in the show notes. So make sure you're taking time to check that out. But Cynthia, I know I've learned a lot from you today. Thank you for taking time just to share your knowledge and to help us special educators be even better in the classroom with all of our learners and making sure that we have diverse strategies to meet their needs. So I really appreciate your insight today. So make sure and check out all of her resources and everything linked in the show notes. But thanks so
Yes.
much for being
Yeah.
here, Cynthia.
You're welcome. And from me and the whole crew at ASL Teaching Resources.com, we say thank you for just everything you do for the kids. Thank you for your lasting impact. We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.